CalazCon is a show about war, obsession, colonialist occupation, and the many forms of violence those inflict. See the description for content warnings specific to this episode. Good afternoon, Major Pie.
Good afternoon, ma'am.
How would you judge each pilot's performance since CalazCon's arrival?
I believe they have all done exemplary.
Any notes about any particular pilots?
Yes, ma'am. Dorian Branch, our newest member, had a rough start, but I believe has seen the largest growth. I also believe that Captain Laren Hetsford, in particular, deserves special commendation.
I see. How would you assess the squad as a whole?
I believe that they have done similarly exemplary work. It is in large part thanks to them that we had the ceasefire with the Evangelion forces, and they were a major force throughout all of the CalazCon operation.
What are your suggested future actions for them, such as transfers, promotions, things to keep an eye on, and so forth?
Ma'am, respectfully, I would like to request that the squad remain unchanged and under my command, if at all possible. If this is not possible for whatever reason, I would strongly recommend that Tapo Tokutsukai and Azara Sky remain in the same unit, along with Laren Hetsford and Dorian Branch.
Noted. Now tell me about Tempestia and the Legislator.
Welcome back, listeners and viewers, to CalazCon and the final mission of pizza. This episode is sponsored by our squad sponsor, John Kings IV. In addition, if you've been enjoying CalazCon and would like to support it, head on over to our Patreon at patreon.com/CalazCon. Today, I am joined by Mark.
Yeah, I'm Mark. How's it going? I am going to be playing Topo, our scout. Goes by they, them. And Topo's looking forward to putting some very big bullets into people from very far away.
Excellent. Me too. I'm also joined by Cole.
Hi there, I'm Cole, aka Ice Cold Brew. You can follow me at linkter.ee/icecoldbrew for all my socials. And also, at the time of this recording, there is a nice little form, so if you want me to be a caster and commentator for your esports event, there's a way to fill that out and reach out to me even easier than just adding me on Twitter.
Excellent.
I also played Dorian Branch, your lovable rookie, who is still in pain, still missing his moms, and still ready to do something reckless and dangerous.
Perfect. Ideal rookie. I'm also joined by Alex.
Hello, I'm Alex. I'm going to be playing our Captain Laren, who is also still hurting. Not missing his moms at the moment, but that's okay. You can find me at First Five on YouTube, where I talk about video games. Yeah, I think that's about everything, me.
Perfect. And last but not least, Jake.
Hello, everybody. My name's Jake. You can find me on co-host at jpritchard, and I'll be playing our lovable infiltrator Azara, who is currently feeling great, just a little nihilist. Everything's all good.
It's so good. And I'm Matthew Guzdial, he, him. You can find me on the internet. I'm very Googleable. So, final mission. How are we feeling?
I'm feeling pretty good. I feel like I have a tragedy I need to write.
That's good. That's good.
Yeah.
Bouncing off the walls hyped.
That's wonderful.
Yeah, ready to roll.
Yeah, Jake, feeling great. Azara, different story.
Like Padme Amidala before me, I am ready to die for democracy.
Wonderful, wonderful, wonderful. So, last time, if we recall, and as a reminder for ourselves and the listener, you all had a downtime in which you did a lot of healing, did a lot of interacting with Tempestia and also Red, and where you got your marching orders. But for clarification and reminders, you all are going after Dr. Mercury Capice?
Yeah.
How do I say that? Yeah, Capice. And I was looking virtually to Mark there, as he is directly responsible for Topo and also Topo's friends Banks' prior experimentation and sort of odd biomechanical existences. He, if as a reminder, is the principal engineer of Goliath's piloting system. Goliath has 3 different pilots. This is me doing a quick version of a briefing that I sent everybody before, which, virtually we can represent as Antonia Pi doing this for you all. One more again, just to end us off. But we can see, Goliath in Praxian Plaza, still there, still massive, still terrifying. And Dr. Capice is in a sort of engineering bay. Think about like Star Trek engineering areas. That's in like the base, the very bottom of Goliath, along with one of the 3 pilots. There's another one along the spine, another one towards the top that you all are not going to be responsible for. You all are flying this mission to neutralize this sort of mad scientist doctor alongside Tempestia's squad. She's giving you all the prerogative on this. She will do as you suggest, except she does, reserve the right to reject an order that would put her or her squad in, massive amounts of danger. It's also notable that while you all are working with Tempestia, you're also working with every other squad in the our side of things, and the Democratic side of things. Democratic Federation? Hold on. I've completely forgot what our side of the war is called. Democratic Federated Systems. My goodness. Okay. So you're working with every other squad, and to break kayfabe a little bit, 2 of the other squads have already recorded. So there are certain events that are guaranteed events. They will happen as we all are playing today. And you will get other ones that you get to set up for future squads that have yet to record. So that's exciting. Any questions on the general setup? And if not, we can go ahead and jump into if there's any gathering info questions.
There was one thing in there that was mentioned that I wanted to highlight. Reminder to everybody that Baron Bastardos himself awaits us.
Oh, yeah, true.
As the Goliath's AI security, and it is mentioned in our briefing that any tech, including your mechs, requires anti-proxy defensive measures, which, when I was looking at the sheet briefly, I think would mean check intrusion countermeasure program or beware.
Yeah, likely. This is also something you could, acquire an asset for.
We do have 3 material. I had a plan potentially for 2 of it.
Okay, interesting. The other thing I'll note is that just is saying that you would be sort of vulnerable to that. That would not be a guarantee that it would happen.
Sure.
In terms of how to get in to Goliath, I think there was one other thing that had already come up, which is you all had discovered that the sort of heat vents along the bottom of Goliath had a timing to them, and if you timed it out well, you could fly an Avi into them. And if you use that as part of the engagement roll, as I said in the last session, I'll give you a plus 1d, which you'll need, because Goliath is a problem.
One other question about the setup is Sebriel is going to be with us?
Well, so that's sort of up to you all, right? So Tempestia's squad right now is Tempestia herself, naturally. Needs Must died so early on. That's so funny that I started by saying Needs Must. Needs Must is so dead. Anyway, Sebriel and also the Sycorax. Yes. And those are the members of her squad right now. So you can sort of deploy those 3 pilots and their obbies as you see fit.
So that is the main hurdle at the front. We have a lot of henchmen now. We have a lot of bodies to get inside, and I'm not sure we all fit in one obby.
No, definitely not.
Certainly not.
Because on top of that, we also have Belladonna and Bank. I don't know if Belladonna is really a combatant, but Bank definitely is.
Yeah,
oh, no,
100%.
Belladonna has a brace. She used it in that fight with Sycorax a long time ago.
Okay.
That you all are in. Maybe it's worth stating just explicitly, I sent you all this ahead of time, but for the listener, your objective is to neutralize Dr. Mercury Capice. Capturing him for trial or assassinating him are both acceptable outcomes. And your secondary objectives are 1, to neutralize the one pilot suspected to be within the engineering fob. That's the sort of engineering sector down below in Goliath. And 2, make the jobs of the other DFS squads easier.
Also, as another reminder, Dorian's moms are trapped inside.
Oh, geez, yeah.
And if I'm remembering our last downtime correctly, Dorian really wanted to go rescue his moms, and Azara said that he would help him.
Yeah, there's 2 collateral die that I get. Well, collateral die you all took that I still get their consequences that I'm deploying intentionally in the future.
Excellent.
Oh, boy. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I hope everyone enjoys my newest tragedy.
Any other questions, or does anybody have a gather information? Or Alex, if not, it sounded like you had a plan.
So I do have an idea. We've got the vents, and that's already established way in. We can definitely do that if that's what we want to do. Mm-hmm. I did also take a look at my list here. I have this nice, shiny, fine, heavy cannon, which is, the tooltip says, powerful enough to punch through heavy armor.
Okay.
I'm not looking to do real damage to Goliath, but with that, combined with the fact that our vehicle weapons are a whole level above fine on top of that, due to our squad thing, is that enough to punch a big hole through Goliath somewhere so that we can dump all the OVs?
Okay, so let's talk through this.
Sure.
So I thought that the improved effect was against Tempestia's squad specifically.
So, looking at our squad sheet, we got a few... It's a squad upgrade, physical building thing. Yeah, the vehicle weapons.
Totally. So, that would mean... You're at tier 2 right now. That would mean that your weapons, your AV weapons, count as tier 3. Goliath is tier 6. So, there's there's a few numbers in between there. I would say that to be able to do anything to Goliath, you would have to have the equivalent of 3 pushes, basically, or 3, added effects.
Well, this was mostly an in-universe explanation for how I was going to get a fine heavy cannon through spending 2 material. But we do have Belladonna,
it's true,
who is the creator of the ginormous cannon thingy on Goliath, which I assume probably made out of better materials than ours, but very strong, and I would hope capable of penetrating Goliath. And my question is, would we be able to get Belladonna to make one of those as this fine, heavy cannon?
Interesting.
I'm not asking for anything. I'm not asking for a super death gun. I am willing to, I'm perfectly happy to accept limitations. I think it makes a lot of sense if it is literally just a one-shot gun to blow a hole in Goliath.
Yeah. Interesting. Okay. I like this plan. I like this direction. What I would say is that the heat vents on Goliath are massive. I would say that you could get anything that was anything but the largest scale. I forget the name for that.
Okay.
Light, medium, and heavy.
Yeah, so anything but a heavy
perfect.
AVI, I think, could fit in there, no problem. Now, that doesn't tell you that you could go much further than just getting in there. As I said in a briefing, but I'll just repeat for the listener's sake, once you're inside, there's a lot of areas that are pilot scale only. And unless you're blasting your way through the walls there, that would be hard. What I would let you do is I would let you roll to acquire an asset. And this would basically determine how good of a cannon Belladonna was able to scrap together in the few days you have until this joint mission launches.
Okay.
As an offering, could I give up my fine railgun that technically I stole from the Screech Owl? that's on some advice.
Mm-hmm.
It's made of drones, so it's easy to form.
That's true.
I could either do that, or it'd be really fun to shoot a fine railgun indoors.
Yeah, I feel like you might want to keep your fine railgun for shooting indoors in case you need to, like, blow something up or blow a hole in something. That's certainly up to you. Indoors, yes. I think the distinction here would be, let me actually make this a decision. Let me lay out two options in front of you like a good GM should. You all could go with the plan of going through the heat vents, and you can tell me who's flying in with what obbies, etc., including if you want to have Belladonna and Bank or any of the Tempestia squad with you, or all of them, or who's running, etc., etc. You can go that route, and if you do, you can get in, right? Assuming, you roll well, but you are not going to be guaranteed to be close to where this fob is. If you go with the cannon route, fun because it's like fandom and canon, etc. If you go with the cannon route, I would say that you could basically open up a hole directly next to the fob. The fob is secure enough that you're not going to be able to blast directly into it. It has extra padding even outside of Goliath's armor. But if the cannon plan works, you could basically get right up into it. Or right up on it, is what I should say. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Okay. Is that what you want to do? You want to go cannon plan?
I leave it up to other folks how they feel about this. I know we've already kind of put in a lot of work into the vents one, so if people want to do that, that's fine.
I mean, we could always roll it. If it's terrible, if the roll is bad...
Oh, yeah.
it doesn't matter, right?
But yeah,
do both.
Yeah, I was going to say, we could split up.
Could do both.
That is true.
That's my favorite option.
Yeah.
Splitting.
Matthew rubbing his hands together like Birdman. Yeah, go ahead, split up.
Yeah, like we always do, 2 and 2, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Okay, so I'm going to take a material, and what I'm going to say is let's have our very first roll. This is just going to be a fortune roll, and Alex, I'm going to have you do it. And this is with the squad's tier, so that's 2 dice. And this is for how good of a cannon can Belladonna scrap together in a few days. Because as a reminder, they were working on the other one for weeks.
Yeah.
And they also are not at Jacob's Junkers HQ.
Yeah, they don't have any of their engineers, right? It's just Bank and Belladonna are the only ones who... Actually, they had split second, so,
Oh, true.
They also could theoretically have oh my god, have I actually found something for the delivery team to do?
Totally. They could have help. There's hands around. Mm-hmm. The problem is, these hands are not hands that already built the thing in 1/10 of the time.
All right, here we go. 2d6.
Yep.
Nope.
Oh, boy.
Oh, that's a 2 for everybody listening at home.
Boy.
I'm sorry, folks.
All right.
So, a tier means it is -1 tier. Here's what I'll say, just so that this is not a complete waste of your time. Belladonna, comes to, you, Alex, meets you somewhere else. She's been using the garage to try to build this arm cannon. It's the night before when in, the afternoon, that noon, everybody is launching for this mission. Mm-hmm. Everybody is launching at the same time. And she's, got an attractive amount of, grease on her. And she's like, there's just no way. So I'm sorry, man. We really tried. There's just no way. But while it won't have the piercing power, it will make a lot of noise and light. So I think it'd be a pretty good distraction.
Yeah.
All right, so this just went from a smash and grab to a stealth mission.
She shrugs.
All right, we'll figure it out. That said, it is still a fine heavy cannon, and going to take another 2 material for me to mount it.
Okay.
I don't know. Do other people need that material? At this point, this is getting pretty pricey.
What I would say is that you could hold off for a moment on that material, because maybe what you want to do is split some of your NPCs and give one of them the cannon.
Oh, okay, yeah.
Right? Because then it could be a distraction outside of Goliath to draw attention, for example.
Another thing that I kind of realized and I'd like to note, this thing's in Praxium Plaza.
Correct.
We're in Praxium Plaza.
Correct.
Last session, that sucked. This session, that might be great. Because the way I imagine this is literally the hummingbird sitting in this, sitting in the hangar and just blasting full tilt out of it, like a missile at this mech. Mm-hmm. I've got the mobility suite, I've got the ship catapult.
Totally.
Give the fight 2 minutes to start and just blast out of nowhere.
I love that.
And dump everybody inside. That was my plan for my Avi.
That is a great plan.
I was hoping to blow a hole in it and get us literally right on top of them and just be like, all right, smash and grab, this mission is over in 2 minutes. Not happening. So we will try the vents, I guess?
Okay, so then let's figure out who's going where. I like this as a general plan. I think people are on board. Is everybody going inside? Are you going to keep some people outside to run distraction or to use this cannon, for example, etc.? What's the split?
I am definitely going inside.
Oh, for sure. Inside. I think all the PCs are going inside.
Yeah.
My question was more you've got Bank and Belladonna. I think Bank would like to go inside, but Belladonna
Bank is
doesn't
definitely probably going to move me.
Bank is absolutely going inside. We need our Mighty Morphin Bank.
Belladonna, I think, would be a good person to stay outside because she knows the sort of proverbial weak points.
Totally.
Or at least the points that will garner the most attention.
Totally.
Mm-hmm.
So maybe her and some of the delivery team.
Mm-hmm. That all works for me. What I will say is Tempestia and Sebriel both have heavy Avis.
Oh, cool.
So they will not be able to go through the vents. One of them could ride shotgun with one of you, or you could have them both running distraction. You could have Sycorax running distraction, and we could have Tempestia and the Screech Owl. That could be fun.
I think tactically it makes a lot of sense for them to be outside. I think narratively, what the fuck are we doing? They're coming with. Come on.
How about this? This could be an actual discussion. And, if somebody reaches out to Tempestia to be like, okay, here's what we're thinking. I think Tempestia would offer to ride with you, Laren, and to remote pilot the Noontide Squall.
Interesting.
Mm.
Okay.
That's a good idea.
How would that work? Because my Avi is a plane. I was not planning on bringing it inside. I was going to be riding shotgun with someone, I think.
Okay, in that case, how about this? Let's have it be you four with Bank riding with Topo. Laren, I'm going to guess you're going to be riding with Dorian?
Well, actually, does anybody other than me have passenger space on their Avi?
I think...
Sure don't.
Yeah, we have two smaller...
Okay. Because I was thinking if we have a passenger space, we could have an already, established ground infantry team that could be Laren, Bank, Tempestia.
I don't know if anybody's going to get in from the ground. I think this is all going in the bed.
I mean, everybody is piggybacking in the Avi passenger space. And
How about
we all
this?
just pile out as a goon squad.
How about this? You all have that pizza van? Pizza delivery van that we haven't seen since the first mission when you killed Needs Must?
Oh,
God. What if we just have one of you all, I'm feeling like the Some Advice, holding that van when you're launched from the Hummingbird, and that van is the most cursed van of all time. It has Laren, Tempestia, Sebriel, and then Bank inside that. And then we have just Sycorax and Belladonna running distraction outside. How's that sound?
That's so good.
That sounds amazing.
Yeah. Sorry, my Discord crashed in that time.
Oh, no.
Does any of that happen to do with Some Advice being out front for the Sycorax and helping out with that? Or can Dorian bring Some Advice inside?
No, you bring Some Advice inside.
Okay,
yeah. Cool. I think we all bring our Avis in.
Except for the Hummingbird. The Hummingbird's doing the launch, it sounds like. And then we'll just be
Yes.
piloted by the delivery team.
That and probably Memo as well.
That's interesting.
Because, Laren would like to bring Memo along, but I don't have any way to protect her from the Bastardos AI.
I think it's the other way around. I think if you have Memo with you, Baron Bastardos can't mess with your stuff, with Laren's stuff.
Yeah, she'd be like a firewall.
I think if Memo's
perfect. Well,
not with you,
okay.
there's like room for Baron Bastardos to like mess with you.
All right, well, no brainer. I guess Memo's coming then.
Okay, I think we have a plan, and there were 0 gather information rolls that were wrong.
Well, I have a gather information.
Please, yeah.
I'm looking at my ability, which hilariously is called Ghost, which is my call sign, that I don't think I've ever used before.
In like the first mission, I think we did.
But the special ability is that you are not negatively affected by quality or tier when you attempt to bypass security measures.
Right.
And my idea was, I'm presuming that when we get in there, there's going to be some sort of alarm that gets tripped or something, or potential for an alarm.
Yeah.
And I would like to get out ahead of that as much as possible.
That's interesting. Sure. Yeah, I'm into this.
I don't quite know how I would do that, is the thing.
I mean, this used to be your job, right?
Yeah, true.
How did you used to do this?
You know, here's the thing. I think if you ask Zara when he's out at a bar and he's been drinking, he tries to make his job sound a lot cooler than it was. But the reality is, it was just a lot of sitting and watching and noticing patterns. There's a really great sequence from, I think it's in Breaking Bad, or it might be in Better Call Saul, where Mike Ehrmantraut, there's like a whole sequence of him just watching a house for a really long time. And I think that's what this is. I think Azara is like up on the roof with like some cool binoculars. And I think what he's looking at is part of this is like how are our supplies getting in and out of Goliath? Presumably not.
Yeah. Good. Well, how about this? Why don't you give me a survey or a study? They're exactly the same for you.
Sure are.
Why don't you give me one of those? This is just a fortune roll. So you'll get something even on a 1 to a 3.
Nice. That's a 2.
Okay, well,
let me give you some bad rolls out now.
Yeah. That's how it works. Okay, let me give you some basics of this. So, if we're taking a look at Goliath, so as a reminder, particularly for people listening, Goliath basically looks like what if you strapped a convention center, like a big wide convention center, like that's a skirt, and then you like extended it outward with like a torso, like you had like a skyscraper or something, and then you just put like the head and shoulders and arms of a robot on top of that, and then you have like 6 legs underneath it. So looking at this, you can pretty clearly see that in fact there are ships arriving and leaving from this like torso midsection, the like high-rise looking midsection. And it's sort of hard to see in this image. I'm going to zoom in on the roll 20. And you can clearly see, if you look on our screen, or I can just describe to you, the front is all glass. Now, this is like bulletproof glass, but it's glass. And you can see this is the place where they have a whole bunch of people who have paid a lot of money for front row seats for this. Let us not forget that CalazCon is about how screwed up fandom can get. And these are people who want a front row scene for this like live action LARP that's also destroying the city. And you can see that because there's all these rich and fancy people there, they're, first of all, arriving. They were not just in Goliath to start with, but also they're getting shipments of stuff, right? Food and, I don't know. Somebody probably just like did a 1-day Amazon equivalent delivery thing and was like, oh, I desperately need some tchotchkes inside Goliath. Oh, could somebody please stop by Artist Alley and pick me up a print of this and then ship it into Goliath for me?
I forgot my blanket. It's so chilly in here.
Exactly.
God.
Jeeves, couldn't you please be a dear and get me my blanket with my waifu imprinted on it? Thank you. I don't know why they're British now.
God.
Anyway. So there's definitely people arriving and leaving. What you can see is that, because, I'm not going to no-sell Azara, there's also some people arriving and leaving from the underside as well. So there are like shipments going in and out, right? Goliath has been up for multiple days. This is a fairly compact operation, but they don't necessarily have like, you know, all the food for that whole time, even for like just the understaffed people, right? So there are people going in and out. There are some sort of like security passes you could have here. What this doesn't tell you is, unsurprisingly in this time, no one goes in through the heat vents.
Sure.
And this tells you nothing about any alarms that would be on those. But there are some kind of security credentials that exist. Does that make sense?
Okay. Yeah. I think it's actually probably better that we go through the vents. We'll have a less of a chance of running into somebody immediately.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
Any other gather information or questions before we do the roll?
I'm looking back at the dossier, and I'm wondering, let me look at my moves again.
Always a good idea. Especially here at the end. This will be your last chance to use moves.
Yeah, I was going to say, I'm looking at my moves and half considering reopening this canon conversation, but apparently I'm able to spend my spark and have great effect, quote unquote, regardless of factors when making a vehicle action roll.
Sure. I'd let you spend your spark for that. You could spend your spark for I would need some explanation and narrative in terms of how you possibly accomplish that.
Oh, okay. Here's the bright idea. We don't load the giant overtuned cannon as a cannon. We load it as a missile, and we just drop it on the spot to make a hole.
I'm into this direction. I'll let you do that. I'll let you directly target and open something right in front of the fob. That's fun to me.
We figured it out.
I will say there's still going to be a sealed door in the way, and
oh, sure.
The fob itself is only set up to be pilot-sized, so that doesn't solve those problems, but yes, I will let you spend your spark to have that be part of the engagement roll. Assuming it all goes well. You're going to roll the engagement roll. You could get a 1, and I'd be like, sorry, buds, you aimed bad.
Oh.
Any other gather information questions?
I guess using that logic, because I have different angles I can look at, because I took a very specific move at the end of downtime.
Yep.
Could I find the weakest point that would be best for that in order to essentially aid that action?
Sure.
'Cause I do want that distraction to go off, because I want it to be easy for me to go rescue my moms.
Totally, I get it. How are you doing this? Describe to me narratively how you're doing this.
It's straight up Dorian days leading up to it here in the discussion of how was it pitched in, like a missile coming down and firing through the fob?
Yep.
It's Dorian looking at the dossier of the doctor of
Mercury Capice.
Dr. Capice, and looking at the blueprints and basically tracing a line through where Goliath would be. And it's just like there are little flashes of Dorian in the briefing room, and you can see just like a faint blue light as he's just bringing up the blueprints again, zooming in, and then just firing simulation after simulation. And doesn't even say anything, just comes in when the missile is being prepared and just drops a mark on a map and says, drop it here, and leaves.
That sounds to me actually like an engineer.
Yeah. Let me look at my engineer points. I actually do have decent engineer points. And you know what's even better? I have something called Watch the Kid. Where when you push yourself, in addition to the normal benefits, you can do one of the following. Roll dice equal to your connection ticks with another pilot instead of an action. Reduce the cost of stress by 1. Who pitched this idea again?
That'd be Laren.
I think it's just talking to Memo through the computer every now and then, just like, and that's where the bonus and engineer comes from. And then I can roll dice equal to that, so I get to roll 2, plus pushing myself pushes up to 3.
Yep, and it costs you only 1 stress. So mark 1 stress, and then give me a fortune roll with 3 dice.
Let's see how this dice roll goes. Damn!
Wow. That's a 3. X marks the fob.
We are not off to a good start.
It's fine. These aren't action rolls yet.
Get them out of the way while we can.
That's right.
So let's talk through this. What does this mean? It's not nothing. I'm going to give you still something here, but something does not go to plan. You, Dorian, do figure out, okay, if this is where the fob is and this is how it's moving, this is where we should aim. The problem is that where you should aim is too dense with armor. So it doesn't matter that it's the perfect spot to hit. The missile just wouldn't break through. And so what you end up having to do is go further back than where you would want, ideally, the missile to hit. So you're like in the hallway outside the fob. You're still dang close, but you're not in it.
Mm-hmm.
Does that make sense?
Yeah.
So you weren't wrong.
Yeah.
It's just that like the missile didn't have the oomph.
So I think in character, Azara says, all right, so what's our plan here, everybody? Are we going through the vents? Are we blowing a hole? Are we doing both? We going loud? We going quiet?
Vents is definitely quieter.
I think our normal MO of kind of smash and grab may not work here. Gestures at the ruined city behind everybody. Goliath has already done all the smashing for us.
So just grabbing now.
Yeah, I think that might be the best. But it's your call, Captain.
Well, I am of the opinion that a lightning strike, in and out, as fast as possible, is our best bet. I think the way to minimize the potential for risk is to get as close to our target as possible, be on them before they know we're there, and already be done with the job before reinforcements show up and be leaving.
Yep.
If we want insurance through the vents, I think that's a reasonable idea.
It's your call.
Topo, I'm going to leave this one to you. I know you've got a bit of a stake in this. Do you want to go in the quiet way and risk missing the action here, or do you want to be front and center?
I am definitely interested in going in quiet, hitting them before they know they're going to get hit, and getting out.
Azara fist bumps.
Yeah. Stealth bros.
Stealth bros.
Antonia, if we jump back to the briefing, we could say, and Antonia, who's like been listening quietly, could say, there is an option to use both. If the concern is that inside security will descend upon you, you could use the missile to force your way in and then keep that security occupied chasing you, leaving the possibility for the other half to go after the doctor.
Dorian, do we have a good idea of where your moms are?
I mean, going by the phone call, points at the windows. Front row.
So they'd actually be in the lower section, not the like high-rise windows, but like what was just the conference center previously. Like the skirt of Goliath, basically.
Right, they didn't buy the upgrade package.
Yeah, they didn't buy anything.
If we want to get a better bead on them, I have an ability to get +1 effect while getting information to find a target.
That's interesting.
So if we can spend less time looking and more time doing.
Sure.
I'm for that.
Yeah, sounds fantastic.
Do you want to have that be your gather information?
I think so, yeah.
Okay. What's that look like? Signals can't get in or out.
Yeah.
But, as you pointed out, there are windows.
Yeah. I think using some, fine optics to look through those windows to see if there's anything that looks like them. And even if there's not, the big spectator windows on the convention center, there are definitely doors opening and closing. There are smaller. So seeing if, not only looking for them, but looking for the absence of them and trying to pinpoint away, at least the general area that way.
Totally.
And that sounds like a survey for sure.
It's 100% a survey, and what I'll do here is since it's a fortune roll, I will treat the improved effect as if you had gotten, one tier higher in the roll. Cool. So if you get a 1 to 3, I'll treat it like a 4 to 5, etc.
There's
finally got one.
There's
I'll treat that as a crit.
Let's go.
Nice.
So yeah, you know exactly where they are. And I'll give you a couple follow-ups if you have any after I sort of give you the gist, right? So staring through those windows, we're going to go back and we're going to take a look at that skirt, take a look at Goliath's skirt in more details. Through these sort of windows here, you can spot a lot that's going on in this conference center. There are a big chunk of the conference center attendees who are just treating this like it's the coolest thing ever, right? Not too surprisingly. They're like pressed up against the windows. They're, taking pictures with their phones. They're taking selfies. The conference center is massive. So there's definitely places people are just like crashing. There's probably whole rooms that have been set aside for people to just sleep in. You can see that, right? Because it's like always dark in there. But you got like some sort of cool optical sensor so you can like still see their body heat, right?
Yeah.
But what you note is that there's also armed guards who are walking through here, who are ensuring that like nobody's trying to like get through any of the sections they're not. Nobody is like, trying to cause a riot, etc. Because there's definitely people in here who are not happy about being stuck in here. You can see some of them like while looking through the window, you see somebody just like basically break and start like shouting and like throwing over booths and things like that. And like armed guards come up and rush the person and bring them to like a side room somewhere, right? Where they're basically using like an improvised jail.
Right.
Or holding cell or something. Now, Dorian, you tell me, would your moms be the kind of people who in this situation would cause a ruckus and get sealed off in a side room somewhere? Or would they be completely chill with this situation? Or would they just be, playing it safe, like playing it as if they're chill?
They would absolutely be causing a ruckus.
I kind of figured
they would
that.
absolutely cause problems on purpose trying to get out.
So great news, Topo. You know exactly where Dorian's moms are because they're being held.
Under armed guard. Great. Yep.
Correct.
Cool. And this glass is bulletproof. Got it.
This glass is bulletproof,
The
yes.
most important part, the glass is bulletproof.
Yep. Otherwise, this would not be a problem.
Yeah, you'll note that like the directly beneath the glass in the image, for example, you can see little vents that there's like tiny little drones flying out of.
Okay.
That's part of Goliath's defenses. Like you'll definitely see a lot of those going in and out as you're watching this. And those drones are small enough that they also just like, they're like 4 feet by 4 feet by 4 feet. So pretty big, but like large enough to fly around inside the conference center as well. So besides these human guards, there's also these drone guards you're seeing around. The nice thing, the thing that I will give you, especially because this was a crit, is that their cell is pretty darn close. It's not like right on top of it, but it's like, 60 yards, something like that, away sort of horizontally from the engineering fob that you're aiming for. But it's also, up through like 3 stories of, defenses, maybe even 4 or 5 or 6 to get up to the conference level.
And they're above the fob.
Correct. So if you see in the image here, below the sort of like glass top of the skirt, there's also this like black area underneath where there's like the vents. So that's the sort of like engineering level, which is mostly like these heat vents, like various giant pistons for controlling the legs and like motors and stuff in there. But also these like small maintenance hallways that you all will be ending up in, assuming things go well, and also this fob that's your target. That's all on this sort of floor.
Okay.
Cool.
Any other follow-up questions?
Going through the vents, it's going to be easier to get to the fob first, right?
That would depend which vents you go through, actually.
True.
So you could pick vents that were closer to the fob, that were closer to, like, the ways of transferring between floors, whatever those look like. You couldn't tell from inside. But they were looked to be closer to where Dorian's moms were, etc.
I imagine the floors inside are less sturdy than the walls on the outside. So
that's probably a decent guess.
If we were to make kind of a faint but also real attempt on the moms first, it would be easier to kind of blow a hole in the floor and head straight down.
We have done that before. We have blown a hole in a roof before.
That's true. We have.
Yeah, we can
need to
Rainbow
do something
Six this.
different. We need to bring some more pizzazz to our missions, you know? I feel like we're just doing the same pattern again and again. It gets old after a while.
Playing the hits.
True.
Topo, do you want to go against Dr. Coppice?
Yes. Yes. Absolutely.
Okay. That's what I thought. So if we do end up splitting up, you should definitely go get the doctor.
So I just had a thought. After we blow this hole, we're still doing the thing where we're bringing the pizza truck in, right?
Assumably, so that you can get in and Dusty and Sebriel can.
That thing could still be driven, right?
It's true. Yeah, totally.
So Laren and the Goon Squad could just drive, the truck.
Just Blues Brothers it.
Yeah, through the fob, or not the fob, but like through the area, straight to where they need to go.
Totally.
And start blowing holes in the floor.
That's so good.
Sounds good to me.
Let's do it.
Oh my god, I love it.
Okay. I think we have the plan. I think it's fair to say.
Yeah.
I think everybody also used some kind of gather information or equivalent, stretching the rules a little bit, letting you do acquire actions, but that's chill.
Mm-hmm.
So let's put together this engagement roll, yeah?
Please be lots of dice.
Is the mission bold? Take +1. I think the mission is bold, and you start with 1 always. Just for clarity here, it sounded like the groups were going to be Dorian holding the van, going up through the vent in
through the hole.
Some advice, or is it not? Is it Azara going through the vent? Because Topo's definitely going through the missile hole.
Yeah, I mean, I'm good with either one. I told Dorian I would help him.
Yeah,
totally. But if Laren is inside the pizza truck, already right there. So I'm happy to go with my stealth bro.
Who wants to go where? Because I thought Topo was going through the vents.
Yeah, if the vents are quieter, that's where I'm going.
Oh, okay. Yeah. Okay, so I think we're doing stealth bros again. One last ride.
Yeah.
So Topo and Azara are going through the vents, and then Dorian and Laren are going through the hole, which means that the first people to actually get to the fob are going to be Dorian and Laren and them. And Azara and Topo are going to go through some hallways first before they get to the fob.
Right.
And the idea presumably is to get the attention of any security people at the fob and
run away.
Yeah.
Yes.
Drive away, excuse me.
Yeah. And to give then Topo and Azara a clear path in. Okay, I like all this. Okay, so the mission is definitely bold. Is the mission especially complex? No, it's basically 2 squads, and then 1 squad's going to be distraction. That works. That's fine. And then go get some moms, assumably.
It's very important to get them moms.
Very important. Does the mission exploit the target's vulnerabilities? Take +1D. I don't think so. I don't think it's fair to say that it's exploiting vulnerabilities. Just because I would say that if the mission was just about using the vents, that would be in a vulnerability. But you're sort of producing, you're creating an opportunity yourselves rather than taking advantage of something that was true about Goliath as a vulnerability. But it's also not ineffective. So I think you're at 2 dice. Is the squad receiving external support for the mission? Yes. So you get +1D from Tempestia. So that's to 3 dice. You're going to get +1D. I think I'm just going to count broadly the use of the missile and the vent as an additional +1D. So that's 4 dice that you're sitting on. Unfortunately, are there other factors affecting the mission? Take +1D for each one that benefits the squad and -1D if it hinders them. Factors might include differences in squad tier. Like, for example, the fact that Goliath is tier 6. Now, I'm going to give you the fact that you all... Otherwise, I was going to take off 2 dice here. What I'm going to do with the, being able to ignore tier and stuff with, Laren spending his spark, Azara spending their spark, or their ghost ability, not spark, etc., is I'm only going to take off 1 die. So you're going to end up with 3 die here for the engagement roll.
Pretty good.
Oh boy. Okay.
It's fine.
It's fine.
Dorian just rolled 3 dice and it went so well.
Leave it to Beam Saber to make what is actually an extremely good roll.
Nope.
Absolutely nerve-wracking.
I think this was a Laren plan. I think that it's got to be a Laren roll. Alex, can you give me the fortune roll? 3 dice.
I believe in you, Captain.
Sending our energy. There's a 5.
There's a 5.
Could have been much worse.
Could have been
There's
so
2
much
but there's
worse.
a 5.
So, I think this generally works, right? I think that it's exactly as Laren described earlier. The hummingbird launches from below this pizza place in a blur, right?
Mm-hmm.
As soon as you all break sort of from underground, immediately your sensors are overwhelmed. This place is a nightmare. You have the Goliath, which is going on a rampage, and there's 2 other CalazCon Avies. There's this like reddish Avi that sort of looks like what if a T could fly? The Hope of Calazar. Dorian, at least, you'd recognize this one. And then Horizon Blue, which is like, what if a crane was an Avi? And they're engaged in this like pitched 3-way battle, but that's increasingly being broken apart by their battle, to be clear, was a LARP. And that is very quickly breaking down because they are being absolutely hammered from all sides by the combined forces of the Democratic Federated Systems and the Jovangelian Empire. You see the hermit crabs, which are like breaking through Goliath's sort of defenses from the back. There's a massive explosion, and Goliath sort of like topples forward a little bit, bracing on one knee as the sort of backside of Goliath opens up to nothing. You see another squad entering in from the top, like entering through the head, right? And you all, in this sort of brief moment, see all this chaos. And then there's a massive explosion as the missile breaks through in front of you, and 2 of the squads are launched, one through the then smoking hole opened up by the missile, and the other 2 timed perfectly with the vents inside. So all 4 of you managed to enter inside Goliath. No problems there. But, Azara, per your concerns, immediately, instantly, upon entering, there are immediate alarms that launch. The second that, like, the ringing in your ears from the force of that shot ends, you can hear this sort of blaring alarm sounds going over and over and over again. This is why you're in risky, instantly. I am gonna set you all up real quick. So let's see here. I'm going to, first of all, Goliath Engineering. There we go. So you all are down here at the bottom of this sort of zone in this like hallway, having opened that up. So we're going to need... I couldn't set this up ahead of time because I didn't know what the heck you all were going to do. But we can now say that we have the Some Advice out here. You barely fit in this hallway, Dorian. You can see that there's a door to your left, a door to your right, and then there's a massive sealed-off entrance into what you know is the fob directly in front of you. That is what you can see. Inside, there's this like bluish sort of like futuristic metallic look for those of you listening, but there's red lighting that you are not seeing because it's just constant, right? This sort of blaring red emergency lights. And then we need some representation of the van.
Well, you didn't have the pizza van prepared?
I didn't have the pizza van. Let me tell you, I didn't know you all were going to do pizza van route. I'm going to put the carbon Qzar on its side, and that's basically what a pizza van is, obviously.
Clearly.
That's good enough for me. So that's your group. What I will say is there is not immediate threat. You're not like immediately in a desperate position, but You are aware that, like, there are the sounds of approaching drones and probably metallic sounds as well, as, like, there's some other Avies that are in here nearby you. And then real quick, let's also set up, we have Like a Fox, and we have the Homer. Both of you two are also here. But you are in the vents. You are a decent ways away from this. You can hear a very similar sequence. Mm-hmm. These vents are actually a lot wider. It's because a moment ago they were filled with fire and burning and gas, and soon they will be again. So you all will also need to move pretty quickly. Mm-hmm. That's the starting situation everybody is in. Nobody is in a desperate position, but everybody's in a risky one. Oh, I can even put on, I haven't done this in a hot minute. I can put the little risky thing on screen. Oh, risky. It's risky. Very exciting. There's one more thing that I want to bring everybody's attention to before we sort of move any further and I ask you all what you're going to do, which is exactly what I'm about to do. And I'm giving you all time here to think about what you want to do. Because two things happen at once. The first thing happens a long way from where you all are now. In fact, right below where you all are now. Antonia Pye watches the missile and watches the hummingbird go. And then, as soon as you all break through into Goliath, the signal cuts. It's the same thing that happened to you, Dorian, when you were trying to reach your moms. Signals cannot get in or out of Goliath. And left with nothing else to do, just sort of sitting there and biding her time and anxious and nervous. Antonia Pye sits down, opens up a laptop, and double-clicks a file. And to pass the time, Antonia Pye is watching Labyrinth Rowe's Secret Memories re/versed. The OVA that you all killed needs mustering.
Oh my god.
We see on screen the beginning of that film, the famous beginning of that film. Does anybody remember the famous beginning of Labyrinth Rowe's Secrets Memories re/versed?
Oh, God.
This is not a trick question. This is we did not establish this. Does anybody want to establish this?
Oh my god. What was the original plot of that? It was supposed to be...
We didn't see the whole thing.
This was the Red Tempestia one, right?
Yeah,
so it's this like old Zero Accountability Red Tempestia anime. We just seen clips of like Red and another woman racing through like an abandoned city while the Noontide Squall like traced them. That's like one of the shots we'd seen from the film.
Mm-hmm. What if it's... Feel free to jump in on this as well. But I'm trying to think what anime does this, but like I feel like the opening to it has to be some kind of festival.
Oh,
it has to be a huge celebration. Everything's joyous. Like there are kids running around. There's poppers and streamers. You know, it's like the photos and celebrations you'd see people of soldiers returning from like World War II and stuff like that. And in the shadows, as a celebration, behind a old bakery that's closed for the celebration, there's a whispered discussion, and as fireworks go off, there are 3 shots heard. And you see like a silhouette of a gun firing. And that's the opening scene.
That's great. I love that. By the way, all 4 of you, so we already got Cole grabbing us 1. All 4 of you are going to have to do this before the end. I'm doing this again. We're bookending just as we began.
No, I have something in mind.
Phenomenal. We'll get to it. The other thing that happens is, Dorian, you're inside Goliath now. All the messages go through at once.
Oh, no.
Oh, I take level 1 harm stressed.
You're getting all the texts, all the missed calls, all the voicemails, and there's no time to read them. There's no time to listen to them.
Oh, brutal.
With that, what do you all do?
I mean, Topo and I got to get out of the way of the fire and gas immediately.
I'm right behind Azara. Lead the way.
Let's get
Let's do that.
Let's ski-daddle.
So here's what I'll say. I mean, you all could... I think this could just be a group roll, which we haven't done a lot of. But this could be a group maneuver, for example.
Yeah.
If you two wanted it to do it that way. That might be the easiest way to get you both out.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Which of you two wants to lead this group action?
I'll lead.
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay. So your starting position is you're not acting against Goliath here, you're acting against time, so I will give you risky standard here to start.
Time has the same tier as us.
Yeah. Time is tier 2.
Cool, okay.
And this is maneuver.
This is a maneuver.
This is a maneuver.
All right.
I mean, you can push yourself in your vehicle with quirks stuff. You can ask for a collateral die. You could exchange position for effect. You could help each. Well, you could help each other, but that's kind of silly given the situation.
Yeah. Do you have a collateral die?
I always have a collateral die.
Please.
Belladonna is going to get separated from everybody else.
Oh.
Mm.
Yeah, that's some juicy drama. I'll take that.
Phenomenal. Love that. Thank you.
Also, should we declare our pilot gear as well?
Please. Yeah, I should have had you do that earlier. That's my bad.
Going heavy.
Yeah, I'm going heavy. I'm not
Heavy,
expecting to get
yeah.
out of this.
Time to go heavy.
I love it. That's great to know in terms of if anybody tries stealthing around later.
Yeah, you know.
Clack, clack, clack.
Just a bunch of pots and pans hanging off of us.
What if I want to cook a meal later?
Yeah, you know. I can restore my HP. Okay, cool. That's 2 dice for me.
Actually, I think I'm going to go medium on that.
Okay.
Just in case.
Sure.
I have new toys. I need to go heavy.
Actually, you know, Stealth Bros, now that you say that,
Yeah.
medium sounds more appropriate.
Okay. 2 mediums, 2 heavies. Sounds good to me. Go ahead and give me your rolls. Let's see how this goes. Risky standard.
Yeah.
So that's
There's a
one
one for
failure.
me.
Let's see if we get a success.
All right.
So that's a 4. So success. Take 1 stress, Azara, for leading that action. And tell me, what does Azara do to, like... there's something about to happen where, like, Topo is about to move Homer in such a way that, like, things were going to get bad. How does it not go bad? What do you do?
We're basically in like, if this was a video game, this would be an area that is shooting fire that is momentarily not shooting fire.
Uh-huh.
Maybe it's a situation where I can see the pattern of how the fire is, how the exhaust is sort of coming out based on, like, the scorch marks of the floor. I think I probably physically move you. I think it's more of an instinctual thing than a thing I verbalize.
Sure.
To push you out of the way of some fire course, passing through.
Totally.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, that sounds good to me. That works. So you do that, but unfortunately, you still get a risky consequence here. That risky consequence is going to be the level 2 damage Scorched. As you're leaving, both of your Avies, like, you just time it a little bit too tightly. Both your Avies get hit by the initial, like, pass of the heat escaping. You can, resist this, as always. You can mark armor, etc.
And how do you resist in a vehicle?
So you resist in a vehicle with quirks.
Okay.
Man, we've done this so rarely, and I forget it every time. Let's see here. A vehicle exhausts 4 quirks minus the chosen attribute rating to a minimum of 1. So, what we would do here is we would take a lookie. I think this is about acting faster, probably. And so I think this would be about an expertise resist, which means that for our infiltrator, Azara, this would just be 1. Unfortunately, oh no, Topo.
Maybe that's armor for me then.
Maybe it's armor for you because this would be a 2 quirk. No, sorry, no, it's a 4 quirk resist.
Yeah.
Oh my
Good
goodness,
Lord,
3 quirk resist. Yeah,
armor
so I'd probably do vehicle armor. Yeah.
I am gonna burn
that.
one of my quirks.
Yeah, which one?
Last ditch flight thrusters. That
Totally.
seems literally appropriate in this circumstance.
Totally. totally.
And it bumps it down to a level 1, right?
Correct. Take the level 1.
Singed.
Singed is great, yeah. And then Topo, you marked vehicle armor, and so you can also put that down 1 to Singe. That totally works. Okay, so you make it through. And what I'll say is that you make it through this sort of like vent area, and you open up into the kind of hallway that like we as the viewer would have already seen, right? But you get the sense that these like modular hallways are just throughout Goliath's sort of engineering zone, right? If you go to your left, you go west, you will hit the fob. You're basically like 3 of these sections away. But there's a thing I'll note, which is that I think you all are now directly underneath Dorian's mom's cell. Which means that if Dorian wants to be the one to save their moms, they need to basically get where you are.
Oh, no,
but
we
you
all
have this
need
sort
to
of
switch places.
You all need to switch places.
That's fun.
But before we get there, let's jump back over here. Oh, you'll note I also changed the van indicator to be red. As we all know, red is the mascot. And so I think what happens here is there's just a massive cartoon painting of red on the side of this van.
Do we have the patch?
Of
Can we
course,
put the patch in?
I don't know if I can reveal that yet. So that'll just be a hint for later for people to see. Okay, so you all are stuck outside this like massive, like imagine a vault door, but even bigger, right? Like what if a vault was made for Avies? That's what's in front of you all. There are 4 of you in the van. Laren, I'm desperate to know what the sitting arrangement in this van looks like. So could I ask you to give me that to start?
I feel like Laren is driving because I've got 2 in maneuver.
Makes a lot of sense.
I think Tempestia makes sense in the back since she's primarily focused on remote controlling her Avi. The question is between Bank and Sebriel, which one is riding shotgun?
It's a great question.
Both of those are funny.
Yeah. Actually, I like the idea of Sebriel currently riding shotgun and Bank being ready. Like, so like, we've never really like clarified this, but like the truck has like the big double doors on the back, right?
Yeah.
So I think Bank is just like set up right behind those doors, ready to just like burst out and like Hulkify.
Yeah, totally. Sounds good. I love that. So Sebriel is just sitting next to you quietly.
I called shotgun.
Exactly. So, okay, doors in front of you. And then I think, again, as a reminder, we, the audience, know, and you all would know according to the schematics, that Topo and Azara should be directly east of you all. You don't know that for sure. Actually, inside, your comms are working. So you all can talk. Never mind. I'm being silly. But what I'll say is that you can hear the sounds of drones approaching from your west. And there's, again, the big gate in front of you. What do y'all do?
So this is a bit awkward. Our plan was to distract by driving straight to Dorian's mom's and drawing all the security away. However, the others are already at Dorian's mom's. So we can't draw the security that direction.
Yeah, it's going to be a bit tricky.
We'll just go around.
Do we want to switch roles?
Oh.
Just take advantage of where each of us is and then do what we have to do?
Are you telling me that you're going to try to use my mom's as bait?
But I could see Mark
Angry
making
text
that
from Dorian.
But I wonder if Topo would even go for that.
Yeah, I'm not sure that Topo would give up that shot.
I think Topo would just want to rush in, right?
Yeah, I mean, go in at some... maybe not rush, but yeah.
Yeah.
Briskly step.
So we split the party even more.
Oh, okay.
Oh, no.
What if the truck were to drive west, causing mayhem? Meanwhile, Dorian can get to work on that door with a railgun, maybe?
Okay.
I don't know if that's what Dorian necessarily wants to do.
I was actually considering it because I was looking at my new vehicle gear that I definitely got legally. and definitely. And there's some fun stuff in here, such as fine heavy melee weapon and scary weapon or tool.
Oh, good.
Love a scary weapon.
Scary tool.
And I want to combine the scary weapon and or tool with the fine heavy melee weapon and do a Here's Johnny.
Phenomenal. Okay, I'm into this. I like this direction. What I think this probably looks like is a setup action, I think, from Laren.
Okay.
To maneuver the car away to distract the incoming people from Dorian. Does that make sense?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it makes a lot of sense.
Okay. So I think this is a maneuver. Now, unfortunately, you are acting against the Goliath defense systems.
Okay.
So you're starting at no effect. Now, this is just a setup. So to have any effect, you would just need to like get one push of some sort, right? One boost of effect.
Okay.
I will say you have a truck full of monsters here. So
yeah.
If you wanted to, for example, have Bank do something, or Sebriel do something, or Tempestia do something, that's your prerogative. And there's also, I will note, a big hole just below where the sort of camera is looking right now.
Yeah, I think Bank cracking open the doors and causing some mayhem would be incredibly helpful.
Yeah. I'm into this. I'll give you an extra effect from that.
Okay.
So you open these doors to your west, the van goes through, Bank is now in massive berserker form.
Yep.
That works for me. So then that would be limited, risky, and with 2 dice. Unless you want to, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera.
I don't really want to push myself quite yet. I want to hold on to my stress for, I'm sure, whatever nonsense is to come.
Uh-huh.
What is the potential collateral?
Oh, for you, let's see here. We already said that Belladonna was going to get separated from everybody else outside. I think that the delivery team are going to get a harm.
Ooh.
It's just a harm. They're not killed.
Mm-hmm.
But they're just taking hits out there.
All right, yeah, I can take that.
Okay.
That's a sacrifice I'm willing to make.
Okay, so that's an extra die.
Alrighty, here we go. Hey!
There's a 6. There's a 6. Phenomenal. How do you think that the delivery team takes a hit here?
Whew. Well, I'm pretty sure they're outside currently, right?
They are outside. I think they're in the Hummingbird, right?
That is true, yeah. Ooh. Obviously, like, the really easy one is just to have the image, like the classic Star Trek image of, the Hummingbird taking a hit and somebody getting fried at the station.
Sure. Yeah. That's not bad. I like that.
Yeah.
So I think that it's like a big, Goliath swipe or something. They didn't get hit by these massive railguns, or I think they'd be vaporized.
Mm-hmm.
But that shakes up the Hummingbird, even though it has these nice, like, stabilized way of flying. And somebody sort of takes a tumble.
Yeah.
All right. Your delivery team is weak. Weak.
Okay.
And then Dorian.
Yeah.
Let's get you here. Let's give you a big hit. What was this big hit going to be about?
Yeah, so we have this big, scary, fine, heavy melee weapon.
Mm-hmm.
And what I want to imagine is it's essentially the drones were altered a bit to where they have nice little beam sabers coming out of them, essentially.
Oh, phenomenal.
He said the game.
And essentially the fine railgun will have a handle on it, becomes a pole arm, and Dorian can stab into the cracks of the vault. And when they do that, the head of the pole arm starts digging and pierces through, and when it does, this is the scary part that comes out. The drones fire out the beam sabers. They become claws. They hook out, and it just starts opening up like a giant maw.
Well, let's see if you succeed. I think that's the if you succeed vision, right?
That's if I succeed. I would love to destroy this door.
Yeah, totally. I think this is definitely a destroy. So let's math this out, because you're starting at risky, no effect. What was this weapon? So fine Scary? What?
Fine, heavy melee.
Fine, heavy melee. Okay, so I think that's giving you 2. So that's going to get you from no effect to, and you're starting at tier 3 already. So you only need 3 to get up to even. So fine and heavy, I think that's going to get you to limited.
Mm-hmm.
So you would need to again push yourself if you wanted standard or even great beyond it.
We've also got the squad buff for vehicle weapons.
Right, I'm accounting for that. So you're usually tier 2.
Cool.
Right,
Yeah.
then we have tier 3 because of that. And then fine and heavy, I'm getting you up to 4 and 5. So you're basically acting like you're tier 5 against a tier 6 target, thus limited.
Yeah. I will be using Watch the Kid once again.
Okay.
To
One more. Yep.
That's to basically push myself to give 1 die, but also I'm pushing myself to use a quirk.
Okay.
It's really funny to consider this some advice, especially with this big scary weapon, as beginner friendly.
Uh-huh.
So do I spend the quirk instead of the stress since I'm doing it as a vehicle action?
So I think that you are, it's a little bit tricky with the Watch the Kid is not really set up for this. Yeah, we'll just call it 1 quirk. Yeah, so exhaust 1 quirk.
Okay. I'm going to just go ahead and mark that as beginner friendly.
Sure.
It's real easy to break open doors.
Well, I think maybe what's more here is like, you're getting repeated beeps on your phone or whatever of like notifications from your mom you can't look at right now. And like, yeah, this better be beginner friendly. Your head is not in the game.
Yeah. What would a collateral die look like for me as well?
For Dorian, lines in mind. Oh, it's the classic. It's the classic, Dorian.
Mm-hmm.
They're going to call you right now.
Oh my god.
Absolutely.
Just put that on speakerphone.
Yeah. How many dice am I at right now?
Let's see. Let's calculate this out. So you did a quirk usage. That's going to get you to 3 dice because you're using your ability.
Yep.
Which lets you get 2, and then push gets you 3. And then you have the collateral die, that gets you 4. Oh, actually, sorry. Were you using the push for dice or for effect?
I was probably going to use it for effect to bring me up to normal.
Okay. Then in that case, you're at 3 dice. So risky standard 3 dice. There's a 6.
Nice.
I love that.
I love this for you. While I start a new good clock for you all to consider here as you're busting your way into this place. By the way, this is a 10-step clock. This is not an easy door to get through. You know what? Nah, I'm going to be nice. It's an 8-step clock. While I do this, tell me how Dorian responds when he hears the panic. Well, first of all, which of your 2 moms do you think this is?
Ooh. It's whichever one would not have started a fight. That's the whole thing. Calanthea would have started the fight, so it would be Geraldine on the phone.
Well, Calanthea, you'd say, was the more Calanthea was the more traditional mom-like one, according to you. Geraldine was the more of the hard ass, I think.
Yes, and therefore the more traditional would have started the problem.
Phenomenal. So Geraldine calls, not expecting it to connect, and then it does. And she says, Dorian? Dorian, are you there?
Oh, shit. Mom?
Yeah. We're here. Calanthea, I got in contact with him. Dorian, are you okay?
Yeah. Listen. Y'all didn't stand Goliath, did you? Already knowing the answer. Y'all didn't stand the center, right?
Well, unfortunately, son, we're trapped in here, says Calanthea.
Oh, okay. Well, you remember that time, I got stuck at Richie's house? And
was that like Big Richie or Little Richie?
Little Richie. It was a haunted house and such, and we were too scared to come out, and y'all came in to get us, and then we were both all too scared to come out.
Yeah. I remember this.
Yeah. Yeah. It's that situation again. God, where am I? I think I'm below y'all.
You're inside?
Well, shit, my mom's trapped inside of a giant, all hellish nightmare of a robot. Of course I'm coming inside to get them.
Outside, there's sparks as you're, like, boring your way through this door. Well, we appreciate the Dorian, but if things look bad, you should just leave. We'll be all right. We just want to make sure you were safe.
Yeah, guess what? Now I got to make sure y'all are safe. Give me like 3 minutes for a moment. And just, there's more heat coming from the pole arm. And there's like a siren coming off of it overheating as Dorian's trying to cut through. Captain, good news. I can talk to my moms. Bad news. My moms can reach us on the phone.
Let's jump back over to our good friends, Topo and Azara. You are in these hallways, as I said. You are, about, like, again, maybe 60 yards east of the fob and Dorian. But you're now hearing the sounds of drones around as well. What do you do?
Drones around just in general?
I don't think that you know exactly where they're coming from, right? So you are in this weird sort of like, directly to sort of below you is the pipe opening. Like you will probably bust through a hatch to get to here. You know for certain that if you go due west, you will get to the fob. But I think that you can hear drones from both above and due east of you.
I'm going to continue advancing towards the fob.
Okay.
I have an idea.
Okay.
Yes. I'm open to hearing that idea.
This is to aid Dorian in saving his moms.
Okay.
You said we're like directly underneath their cell, right?
Yeah. So I think that what's happening here is there's another one of these hallways directly above you, which is another, roughly estimating how big your massive Avi bodies are. I'm going to do bad job with distances here. But let's say basically another floor like this, so roughly like 4 times the height of like a fox above you is the floor below that.
Okay.
But in the hallway above where you all are, there are definitely drones up there or nearby there.
Right.
Is there any way that I can reach the ceiling?
Oh, easily. Yeah.
Okay.
You could just do that.
Perfect. I would like to take off one of my items, which is placed explosives.
Oh, okay.
Which is a brick of moldable explosive putty with a timer or remote detonator, never quiet.
Okay.
My idea is to basically paint an X for Dorian.
To
where we are. To both indicate where his moms are and also give him the detonator.
Totally. I'm into this. I'll let you do this, but doing this from within your Avi is going to be really hard. This is going to be a manipulate roll to like get this where it needs to go precisely enough that you're not like going to make a lot of noise or something, right?
Can I pitch you getting out of my Avi?
Yes, of course you can. Azara, of course you can.
Okay. Delightful.
Okay. I think this works. How does Like a Fox open up?
I think it's just like sort of in the chest. It's like right underneath where, because it's fairly humanoid in look.
Yeah.
Right. So I think it's sort of like where underneath, basically like where the top of the chest is. It sort of like pops out forward.
Right. And then do you mark a remote pilot control? So you like are controlling, like you make the arm go up and you clamber up that, for example?
That's a good idea. That's a good idea, yeah.
Okay. So this is a prowl. In this case, unfortunately for you, you're not acting against time. You're acting against the security forces of Goliath. So you are going to, again, start at no effect here with this prowl roll.
Okay. So I'm definitely going to push myself.
Totally.
Pushing myself would get me into a desperate position?
No. So you're in risky. You're not in desperate.
Oh, I'm in risky.
But you're risky no effect right now.
Oh, okay. I meant the other way around.
You need at least limited effect for this plan to work.
Oh, okay. You know what? This is the finale. I would like to trade my position for effect.
Always. Yeah, please.
Ooh.
Okay, so you're at limited desperate now.
Sure.
And then you're pushing yourself to get to standard?
Yes.
Oh, okay.
So desperate standard.
Desperate standard. Mark XP, though I'm not sure if that will do anything.
Hey, I also get to choose one of the following. I have a move called the Devil's Footsteps,
Yeah.
Yeah.
which is when I push myself, I can perform a feat of athletics that verges on the superhuman or maneuver to confuse your enemy so they mistakenly attack each other. I think this is the feat of athletics in this circumstance.
Totally. I will give you an extra benefit from that, regardless of what the roll reveals.
Okay. Oh, interesting. I also have a move called Daredevil, which allows me to get plus 1d when I take a desperate action if I also take a minus 1d to any resistance rolls. Oh, this is a good playbook. Let's just leave it for now.
Okay, so this is 2 dice?
2 dice, desperate standard. I made a promise.
Mm-hmm.
Actually, before I go, do you have a collateral die?
I always have a collateral die. Come on. Let's see. We already separated Belladonna.
Uh-huh.
Okay. Regardless of how this roll goes, you and Sebriel are going to meet back up.
Oh, yeah, of course. I thought that was just a given. Yeah, absolutely.
Okay.
I'll take an extra dice for that, of course.
Okay.
What a nightmare person he is. All right.
3d6, desperate great, or desperate standard.
Whew, that's a 5.
A 5? Hey, that's not so bad. I mean, it's a desperate consequence, but it's not so bad.
True.
So you do it. You have marked this particular hallway passage, and I'll let you decide when you want this to explode. I'll note this explosion is not going to threaten Dorian's moms, because there's a whole floor between you and them. Like a whole, one of these like Avi-sized floors is what I mean.
I'm almost imagining this is kind of like a spray. It's almost like a silly putty, almost.
Yeah, sure. That totally works.
Of just making a big X.
The other thing that I'm going to say is what your ability actually said, right? The Devil's Footsteps, is that it would confuse your enemies so they mistakenly attack each other. I don't think that's what happens here. They don't attack each other. But I think you doing this lures the drones away by happenstance. This is, it's not by happenstance. Azara knows this shit. Azara knows security measures.
True.
And you figure out where you can place this that'll mess with their sensors.
Ooh. Okay.
And so they think that this is happening in a different hallway.
Oh, delightful.
And so you draw away all these drones that were threatening you, which means, Topo, you move for free. You don't have to roll anything. You just can meet up with Dorian. We're going to jump directly to that after this.
Excellent.
So that just happens. Unfortunately, as Azara is going back into Like a Fox, right, getting all set up to follow after Topo, you sent Topo ahead in the sort of breathing room that you gave everybody. Like a Fox turns back on, and staring at you is Baron Bastardos from the internal screens. And he says, "What do you think you're doing?"
Ah, fuck.
You take the level 3 damage infested.
Ooh.
You can resist this.
That ain't good.
It's not good.
I believe in you.
Would that be... if I was going to resist that, would that be an acuity resist? Or expertise?
You could pitch me on how it's expertise. By default, it'd be acuity because it'd be about like using the software systems of your audience.
Yeah, because the idea that I had is I have a quirk called Custom OS.
Oh, sure.
Would seem appropriate here.
Sure.
I also have something on my vehicle gear called Electronic Countermeasures, which creates static that prevents any wireless transfer of information.
Oh, okay. I would just let you mark that to reduce the damage by 1 level. So it would go down to level 2.
I'll do that.
Okay. So then what you get is, what do you think you're doing here? And then it's like...
Yeah, what do you think you're doing here?
Yeah, exactly. And so I think this is not infested, but I think this is accessed.
Okay.
So basically, this Baron Bastardos proxy has, like, access to where Like a Fox is.
Okay.
Okay. Let's jump back over to our gate and to Topo as you arrive on the scene. Topo, you can see that Dorian's working hard. The devil works hard, but Dorian works harder at trying to like open up this massive gate. What do you do? How do you act upon arriving here at the scene?
Is the tool being used by Dorian in the Avi or out by Dorian?
It's a melee weapon.
On the Avi?
Yes.
Yeah, okay, cool. I think as soon as I show up, I just ask if there's anything I can do to help and let him know that Azara is back there getting ready to blow a hole upwards.
Okay. In that case, is this just like, is this you just helping? And like another attempt at this?
Yeah, just point me at the right thing to do and I will do it for you.
Okay. In that case, Topo, can you read me your Dorian branch connections?
Yeah, Dorian is way too eager for this quote-unquote work, and Dorian needs to shut the fuck up sometimes.
Wait, hold on. Those are my beliefs about Dorian.
Oh, shit.
You're reading the wrong one.
I was looking at the wrong one.
Wait a minute, that doesn't sound like Topo.
No, okay. Dorian, this kid has no idea what they're getting into.
True.
Although I imagine Topo believes privately some of the same things.
So, mark 1 stress. And Dorian, are you just basically doing the same role here?
Yeah, I'm trying to think if there is, because I've maxed out vehicle gear.
Yeah.
But I have this new gear.
Uh-huh.
I'm trying to figure out how to get more creative with its destruction.
You can just roll it again. You're right that it's a little boring, but like, is the conversation with your mom still ongoing?
Yeah.
Like through this?
Also, is it a video call? Have we established that?
It has been in the past. I don't know if it is this time. You can tell me.
I think Dorian only has it on audio only at the moment.
Sure.
If you're kind of prying apart the thing with your tools, like you said, it was like opening up and being like a chest expander kind of thing.
Mm-hmm.
I think, if there's room, like Toba brings Homer up and just like digs in there with the tentacles. Coming off the shoulders and like helps like kind of like levering, like I pull a little bit, you get in deeper, you pull a little bit, I help get in there, try to like ratchet it open a little bit. That might be what the help looks like.
Totally. I think that makes a lot of sense. The other thing I'm realizing is I had picked this as an 8-step under the assumption you wanted the gate open. What I'll say is that when you get this 4 steps of the way filled, aka 1 more standard effect, a person-sized person could get in. Now, there's potentially a problem there because there's armed guards inside. And it's really obvious you're breaking in.
Topo could take him.
Did I mention that this is the reason why this is a polearm? It's still technically part of the railgun.
So you're going to just shoot through the opening?
Oh, yes.
Yes.
Blam, blam, blam.
Okay. I'm not opposed to this.
It's also a great time to point out that Dorian now currently has flashbang, smoke grenades, and frag grenades.
Phenomenal.
As part of their pilot gear.
Okay. So I think this is going to be... Let's stat out this roll. I think there's at least one more just plain fashion destroy roll here for y'all to get enough of an opening here for somebody to slip in. Here's the way I'm going to break it down for this 8-step clock. I would say that 2 more, so 4 out of 8, that'll get you pilot-sized can get in. I would say that 6 out of 8 will be light Avies could get in, and then the full 8 out of 8 is for medium-sized Avies.
Mm-hmm.
So, starting at no effect, but then you've got this ridiculous weapon, which is getting you to the equivalent of tier 5. So you're starting at risky limited with 1 die unless you're pushing yourself in the same way.
I am going to be pushing myself in the same way again.
Okay. And you get 1 benefit from Topo as well.
Yeah.
I think I'll use that to be increased effect.
Okay. So that's going to be risky great. And then with the ability you have... Oh, what quirk are you using here?
Common frame.
Okay.
It's legitimately just because it's not made for this. It's again to once again describe the look of the some advice. It is a scrapped together ballad song with parts of the screech owl.
Right.
It's not made to do this.
And how does that help?
You can overclock the arms.
Okay. I'm into it. Okay, so you mark that quirk. That's going to give you... I mean, you're at 2 dice, and you're at, with Topo's help, risky great.
Mm-hmm. I thought it should be 3 dice since I'm using Watch the Kid.
You're right. It's 3 dice, and then risky great.
I love that's risky great now. I love it when things are great. Collateral die? Because I want that XP.
Oh, great news. Someone is going to, or rather, I don't say someone, a Blue Sky Endowment is going to start evacuating people from the floor your moms are on.
Awesome.
Yeah, it's totally a positive thing, right?
Yeah, that's definitely a positive thing. I'm going to allow that to happen. Can I also move my position from risky to desperate extreme and then drop that back down to give up that extra effect back to another die? Because I realize I should be doing desperate so I can get more XP.
Cole's power gaming right now.
Yeah.
I'm not sure you're gonna level up again, bud. But all right. Yeah,
he's only got to survive doing this like 3 times, right?
So desperate extreme and 4 dice is what this sounds like. And also BSC has begun the evacuation.
Let's go.
Yes. Let's go.
Which is a good thing, which is why it's a lateral die.
I wonder how the BSC did in their session. Oh no! I'm using my spark.
Jesus Christ!
I'm using my spark. I'm using my spark now.
What's using your spark lets you do?
Beginner's luck. When you get a 4+ result on a roll, you can remove the highest die to refresh your spark. This can turn a success into a failure, or a crit into a normal success. If the 2 6s are the only successful dice, you can spend your spark to change your die result into a 4.
Yep, that's a 4.
For reference,
changing
you rolled
this shit to
a 3, 2, 3, 1.
Wow.
Great. So on the
4
plus
dice.
side, this is now, because you got an extreme effect, this is now 6 of 8, which means that Light Avies, aka Homer, can get in.
And me too.
And you too, and Like a Fox too, and the van, technically. So okay, there's a couple things here. Thing 1, Topo, you had described Homer as like, are you like on top of some advice?
Yeah, kind of like almost like perched on top, because I've got like the dog body, and sort of like back legs perched on top, and then the tentacles in there.
Totally.
And if it opens up enough for me to go in, I kind of like use the shoulder tentacles, like brace myself, and just kind of like swing in basically off his shoulders.
Totally.
That's a perfect photo for this.
Well, then what you... do you want to see the photo? But what you see here is a couple things. First, hanging out in the middle of this area, there's sort of this like big circular thing. There's like a semi-transparent dome over it. Imagine like like if you're like played Trouble, like the board game Trouble, the
like
dome
a Pop-O-Matic.
in it. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Something like that. And inside that dome, you can see hooked up to various wires and tubes, probably floating in some sort of weird liquid, is Barrett. Barrett is one of the 3 pilots. You also spot, just behind him, Dr. Mercury Capice. But the thing you mostly spot are the 3 armed guards who are set up directly in front of this hole that you all are opening and immediately open fire into that hole.
Are there 3 guards, or do the guards have 3 arms?
There are 3 guards.
Okay.
It was a guy with 6 guns.
It could have been.
It could have been.
A lot of things with Capiche.
There's more weirdos in the back here, but yes, there are these three guards. Now they are shooting at you. You're in an AV. This does next to nothing to you.
Yeah.
This basically scatters off of you. But I think the thing that happens here, and the sort of desperate consequence that happens with Dorian, is I think that what's being shot at you is not like bullets. It's like some sort of like slow, weird energy stuff. And what's happening because of that, Dorian, is that your weapon somehow reacts. This weird thrown together fine heavy melee weapon reacts and it explodes. You're going to lose this weapon and take the level 2 damage crippled arm.
Ooh.
Yikes.
You can resist that.
I did need the gun. Let's see. Would that be a expertise to resist, would you say?
I think so. It'd be about like dodging out of the way fast enough that these like weird energy bolts don't hit you. So just be 1 quirk.
Awesome. Nimble and light.
That makes a lot of sense.
My quirk. Yeah.
And you'll note that was a level 2 damage. I think that you just fully resist that. That doesn't happen to you. But a Desperate Consequence would normally be a level 3 damage. And isn't that weird? Unfortunately for you, on the call, you hear gunfire. And Geraldine says, I think somebody's coming. The guards in here are shooting at and then the call goes blank. It's cut off. You cannot hear them.
Captain, I need to go.
Thanks for listening to CalazCon. This episode was edited and sound balanced by Christine Blight. You can reach her for voice acting at cvblight@gmail.com. The show's music is by Devin Nelson. You can find them on all social media at Devin Decibel. If you'd like to support CalazCon, you can find us on Patreon at patreon.com/CalazCon. Please tell your friends about the show too. Remember, all glory to Calazar.